You want the best for your car? You already watch our tutorials.
So the best place for the best deal is to buy from the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the bulk shock absorbers used in the video exclusively on the Mr. Auto website and through the link in the description. Turn your engine off. Pull up the handbrake. Pull on the bonnet release lever and open the bonnet. To disassemble the front shock absorbers, it is first important to remove the windscreen frame and the windscreen wiper. Before removing the wiper arm, use a piece of adhesive tape to keep a precise mark on its end of stroke position so that you can position it correctly when reassembling. Remove the protective cover from the wiper arm nut. Using a socket wrench and a 14mm socket, loosen the wiper arm retaining nut. Before removing the wiper arm, unclip the washer pump fluid hose. Remove the wiper arm by making slight movements up and down. If it doesn't come easily, we recommend using a carb wiper arm puller to make the task a little easier. Disconnect the washer pump fluid hose at the windscreen frame. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the two windscreen frame rivets by pressing on the middle part. Unclip the side cover. You can now remove the windscreen frame. Then, using a socket wrench, an extender and a 10mm socket, remove the holding screws on the metallic frame. This will allow you to lift the metal frame sufficiently to gain access to the shock absorber heads. Remove the rubber cover. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the protective cover from the shock absorber heads. Using a 6mm Allen key and a 17mm offset spanner, unscrew the nut holding the upper suspension strut support bearing by a few threads. You must remove the wheels in order to change the front shock absorbers on your car. This will give you full access to the suspension system. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels. Lift the front of the vehicle. Place the vehicle on the axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. Don't forget to slide the wheels under the vehicle. You now have to remove the stabilizer link bar. It connects the sway bar to the shock absorbers so that the wheels are always in contact with the ground. To do this, we recommend that you watch the video How to Replace the Sway Bar Links Yaris 3. Brush the two screws of the shock absorber base and spray them with degreaser. Using a ratchet and a 19mm socket, unscrew the two nuts on the shock absorber base. Hold the screw with a 19mm spanner. Then remove them. Using a socket wrench and a 14mm socket, unscrew the bracket, holding the brake and ABS sensors hoses in place. Then remove the mounting bracket. Disconnect the shock absorber base from the stub axle. The base of the shock absorber should now be free. Finish unscrewing the nut, holding the upper suspension strut support bearing. Hold the shock absorber with one hand and finish unscrewing with the other. Remove the shock absorber.
All parts used in this tutorial are supplied by our trusted partners. These partners also help us create as many video tutorials as possible. Check them out in the description below.
In order to change the shock absorber, you must now separate it from the spring. You can find the description of the tool we used in the video, which we think is most adapted to the operation. Careful, pay attention as you compress the spring. This is not without risk and should be undertaken paying very careful attention. Plug the tool in a vise. This will make it easier to use. Install the shock absorber in the vise, then compress the two spring compressors using the socket wrench and the appropriate socket. Remove the upper support bearing. Once the shock absorber is free in the spring, you can loosen the suspension strut support bearing with a 17mm offset wrench and a 6mm Allen key. Remove the shock absorber spring and the support bearing assembly. Recover the lower spring retainer. You will find the bulk parts and products used in the video on the Mr. Auto site and in the link in the description. Take your new shock absorber. Before installing the new shock absorbers, it is necessary to prime them by pressing the shock absorber rod vertically so that the gas and the hydraulic fluid are separated. Unscrew the lock nut on the stem. Position the shock absorber in the vise. Put the lower spring support back in place. Then install the shock absorber spring, the stop on the upper spring support, then install the sleeve on the stop. Insert the assembly into the shock absorber spring. Pay careful attention to place the bottom of the spring so that it rests against the lower spring support. Position the bearing of the upper spring support and screw the new nut back onto the shock absorber rod. Tightly fix it in place using a 17mm offset wrench while holding the stem with a 6mm Allen key. Make sure it is well tightened. Unscrew the spring compression tools, paying attention to the position of the spring on the lower shock absorber support. Install the support bearing on the shock absorber. You have now finished preparing the new part. Insert the shock absorber starting from the top part. Replace the upper suspension strut support bearing, then screw its retaining nut by hand. Using a wire brush, clear the hub carrier to make it easier to insert it into the shock absorber. Then put the screws back in place. Then screw them back on. Finalize the tightening of the shock absorber foot with a torque wrench. Screw the brake hose and ABS sensor retaining bracket back on. Put the sway bar link back in place. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your car back on the ground and block the wheels securely. Finish tightening the retaining nut on the suspension strut support bearing. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Put the plastic protection back on. Screw the metal frame retaining screws back on. Put the rubber cover back in place. Reconnect the washer pump fluid hose. Then clip it back on. Put the rivets back in place. Refit the wiper arm without using too much force when tightening. Reconnect the washer pump fluid hose. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from Usetool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.